Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. Today we actually have a review of the Tudor Black Bay Chrono Flamingo Blue at left, but given that these two watches are from the same limited run series in consecutive years, 2024 and 2025, they are otherwise mechanically, dimensionally identical, but given the extreme and distinctive colors chosen, Miami pink and flamingo blue, I thought it was important to have a video showing these two dials side by side under the same light, under the same camera. Now we can truly say that we have a sufficient relative comparison of these colors. If you ever wanted to gauge which one is for you, this is an apples to apples comparison. Okay, now we're going to go back to the flamingo blue. So this watch, much like the 2024 Chrono Pink, was not specifically a limited number, but limited production, built for a small window and only delivered in a few examples to even the largest Tudor dealers. Now, it is based on the Black Bay chronograph that debuted back in 2017, which means 41 millimeter diameter steel case, 14.5 millimeters thick, lug-to-lug, 50.2 millimeters with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Of course, since that original 2017 model, we've gained access to a 5-link bracelet in the Tudor catalog on various sports watches, very much like the Rolex Jubilee. So we have a little bit of a lenticular profile, and then we have staggered link alignment, taper down from the conforming end link, polished centers. And you can see here we have removable links which are fixed by screws. So the Rolex sister brand here, not cutting any costs in terms of how these links are fixed to the case, no pin sleeves here. And if you need to remove, you can use your jeweler's screwdriver, but you have more options. You have T-Fit, which is an incremental sliding adjustment system that gives you several detents up to 8 millimeters of adjustable range. And then we've got a fairly robust single fold deployment system here, made thick gauge steel. You can see both internally and then externally we have these spring-loaded ceramic pin snaps so that over time the metal can't wear down the pin snaps, and so the tolerances will remain snappy with time. Taking a quick look, we've got a case that should be familiar by now to Black Bay fans, kind of a slab side, very vertical sheer, satination on the lug hoods, and then a little nostalgic bevel on the side to remind us of historic Tudor watches from the 1950s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, back when Rolex and Tudor shared cases, and they would have both featured those lovely bevels at the time. We have here a combination of screw downs for both the pushers and the crown. Note the presence of the earlier rose-style Tudor logo, and then at the same time on the dial, the later shield style. We have an anodized aluminum bezel insert, and that's always an interesting thing because on watches that are of modern construction, but aiming for a vintage callback or a nostalgic touch, oftentimes we are seeing anodized aluminum chosen over the more modern ceramic for the sake of the vintage aesthetic it creates. We also have this dramatic bubble-like boxed and cambered sapphire to look like a vintage plexi. The dial is flamingo blue, and of course that doesn't make any sense at all. Flamingos, if anything, are more the color of the Miami pink on the Chrono Pink. But here's the idea. It is very much South Beach, Miami, Miami Beach, Art Deco district. You think almost if a flamingo were to be blue, it would probably be this blue. Now we've got a chapter ring style dial, snowflake style hands, and something that vintage Tudor watches would not have had, which is applique indices to give it a more modern and upscale aesthetic. We've got a tachymetric scale on the outside. You can use that with the chronograph to gauge speed of an object, such as a runner around a track or a cyclist around a course. Tudor, after all, sponsoring pro cycling. Would probably prefer to think of cycle racing here than motorsports. We have a chronograph that is based on the Breitling B01 movement in here. There are a couple of changes, so let's go over what those are. Protected inside this case, water resistant to 200 meters. You can see it's been changed for a twin register layout and a minute counter on the Tudor version, which is called MT5813. That's actually a 45-minute register rather than the 30 on the Breitling. Now you still get the super smooth vertical clutch coupling system with no jump or stagger to the seconds hand, also allowing you to run the chrono full time without any additional wear and tear to the mechanism. That's the advantage of a vertical clutch. If you like to run your chrono full time, you can do so. Other features worth mentioning: automatic winding, 70-hour power reserve, 5-position movement adjusted. The movement is a COSC certified Swiss chronometer. We do have stop seconds to halt everything, so you can set it to a reference time, as well as a quick set date for rapidly cycling through the date disc if you should need to do so. Chronograph actuation, which is not the same thing as the clutch, but the function cycler is a super crisp column wheel, and this is one of the things that Breitling's B01 does better than almost anyone in the industry: column wheel feel and sound. Tudor makes a couple of other changes. It's not just the twin register design with the 45-minute counter. There's also the fact that the chronograph uses a Tudor silicone hairspring rather than the metal hairspring on the Breitling version, which gives this more anti-magnetic hardening and tolerance. Also, it uses a free-sprung balance rather than a combination of Breitling's eccentric screw with Edicron. This system allowing for a bit more precision of adjustment and also greater shock resistance. Throwing it on the wrist, don't want to forget that. It's a big watch, there's no doubt. I would say it wears a little larger than a 41. I would say, if anything, this, let me just refocus here. I would say, if anything, this feels more like a 42 or a 43, but the nice thing is the end links of the bracelet don't project beyond the end of the case. That 50.2 lug-to-lug really is the distance across the wrist. It's flat enough to fit under a cuff. That shouldn't be a problem. It's not a thin watch, but you're not going to have any issues in that regard. The watch is really quite comfortable, and I could recommend it for a wrist as small as, let's say, 16 centimeters circumference, just like mine. No shortage of luminescence. It is quite bright and easy to read. While the chronograph functions are not visible, the time of day should not be a problem. Take one last look at these two next to each other. Which one do you prefer? Honestly, I like them both, but I'm probably more of a blue guy than a pink guy. The good thing is we've got both. You don't have to choose. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.